The application landed on my mahogany desk with a soft thud. "Madam Lawrence," my assistant Claire said, "I think you'll want to see this one personally." I glanced up from reviewing the curriculum for next semester's advanced etiquette course at Loron International, the world's most exclusive finishing school. The name on the application made me pause. Victoria Ashworth Pierce, my former stepmother. Interesting timing, I mused, remembering her words from 12 years ago. You'll never understand true elegance, Isabella. Some people are simply born with class, and some, dear, are not. She'd said it while throwing my belongings into garbage bags, the day after my father's funeral. I was 22, grieving, and apparently not performing grief elegantly enough for her standards. Now, at 34, I ran the very institution she'd always worshipped. Loron International, where old money sent their daughters to learn refinement, where new money bought legitimacy, where royalty mingled with tech billionaires' children. Not that Victoria knew I owned it. To the world, Loron International belonged to the mysterious Madame Lawrence, who'd transformed a struggling Swiss finishing school into a global empire of elegance. No one connected her to Isabella Pierce, the awkward stepdaughter who'd supposedly disappeared into obscurity. "Shall I decline the application?" Claire asked, knowing enough of my history to understand the significance. "No," I smiled, running my finger over Victoria's perfectly penned signature. "Schedule her for a personal interview. With me." The Loron International headquarters occupied a restored mansion on Chicago's Gold Coast, all limestone and legacy, with a view of Lake Michigan that alone was worth millions. I'd bought it 3 years ago, after expanding the school beyond its Swiss origins. Now we had campuses in 5 countries, each one a carefully curated experience in refinement. But more importantly, we had information, the kind of details about wealthy families that could make or break social standings. I checked my Cartier watch, a quiet upgrade from the tacky fashion jewelry Victoria had mocked. The interview was scheduled for 3 p.m., giving me time to prepare properly. Her social media activity over the past decade, Claire laid out a comprehensive file. Struggling to maintain appearances after her 3rd divorce. The country club quietly revoked her membership last month. And now she's seeking reinvention through Lawrence's most exclusive program. I finished, appreciating the irony. Our private refinement course cost more than most people's homes and required extensive social references. At precisely 3 p.m., Victoria swept into my office, designer handbag clutched like armor. She'd aged, though expensively, her carefully maintained appearance showing the strain of social decline. "Madame Lawrence," she began, then stopped short. The recognition flickered across her face like lightning. "Isabella." "Hello, Victoria." I remained seated, letting her stand awkwardly before my desk. Or should I say, Mrs. Ashworth Pierce Hamilton Brooks? I lose track of the surnames. She sank into a visitor's chair, her perfect posture crumbling. This is impossible. You own Loron International." "Founded, actually. Built it from nothing." I gestured to the wall of awards and press coverage. Quite an achievement for someone who would never understand elegance. She clutched her bag tighter. "That was a long time ago. I was upset about your father." "You were upset about the will," I corrected smoothly. "About discovering he'd left his real estate holdings to his uncouth daughter instead of his elegant wife." The memories surfaced sharp and clear. Victoria discovering that my father's apparent financial troubles had been strategic fiction. That his struggling properties were actually worth millions. That his daughter, not his wife, would control everything. "I've changed," she said quickly. "I'm different now. That's why I'm here, to refine myself further, too. To rebuild your social standing after the Hamilton divorce scandal?" I pulled up the file on my laptop. "Or is it the Brooks family lawsuit that concerns you more?" She paled. "How did you?" "Loron International trades in elegance, Victoria, but we deal in information." I stood, walking to the window overlooking the lake. Every society family, every nouveau riche entrepreneur, every aspiring socialite who passes through our programs, they all share their secrets eventually. "Is this revenge, then?" Her voice cracked. "You'll reject my application because of the past?" I turned back to her, remembering the girl who'd once desperately sought this woman's approval. Revenge would be beneath Lawrence's standards. "And you taught me all about maintaining standards, didn't you?" "Isabella, please. Here's what's going to happen." I sat on the edge of my desk, enjoying how our positions had reversed. "You'll be accepted into the program, provisionally. You'll learn exactly what elegance means from the woman you claimed would never understand it. Hope flickered across her face. You'll accept me? With conditions. I handed her a new contract. You'll attend every class personally taught by me. You'll learn about true refinement, not just table settings and air kisses, but genuine grace. And you'll do it knowing that every lesson comes from the stepdaughter you threw away. Victoria stared at the contract, her hands trembling slightly. The tuition, it's more than I can afford. I smiled. I know. Your financial records are quite detailed in our background check. But don't worry, we have a special payment plan for unique cases. What kind of payment plan? You'll work as a teaching assistant in our beginner's course, helping others learn the basics of the elegance you claimed as your birthright. I let that sink in. Unless you feel that's beneath you? The struggle played across her face, pride warring with desperation, old elegance battling new reality. Finally, she reached for a pen. Good choice, I said as she signed. Welcome to Loron International, Victoria. Class begins Monday. Don't be late. Punctuality is the politeness of princes. She recognized her own words, thrown at me years ago when I was 5 minutes late to one of her charity luncheons. Now they fell differently, weighted with new meaning. As she left my office, clutching her acceptance letter like a lifeline, I thought about the girl I'd been. The one who'd measured every word, every gesture, against Victoria's impossible standards of elegance. That girl was gone, replaced by someone who'd redefined elegance on her own terms. And now, Victoria would learn exactly what that meant. Claire appeared with afternoon tea, properly brewed, properly served, exactly as Loron International taught. Shall I enroll her in your personal etiquette master class? No, I smiled, stirring my tea with perfect form. Create a new one. Call it Refinement and Redemption. Let's see if Victoria can learn what elegance really means. The real lesson was about to begin. Monday morning arrived with perfect autumn crispness, the kind of day that seemed designed for new beginnings. I stood before my advanced etiquette class, 30 of Chicago's most influential women hanging on every word about proper networking dynamics. Victoria sat in the back row, her Chanel suit slightly outdated, her perfect posture a shield against whispers. Several students recognized her from social circles. The 3-time divorcee, the fallen socialite, now reduced to studying under her former stepdaughter. True elegance, I lectured, making eye contact with Victoria, isn't about designer labels or family names. It's about authenticity, grace under pressure, and the ability to make others feel valued. But Madame Lawrence, a tech billionaire's wife, raised her hand. Surely breeding counts for something? Interesting perspective. I moved through the room with practiced ease. Victoria, as our teaching assistant, what are your thoughts on inherited elegance versus earned refinement? She flushed, recognizing her own words being served back to her. I used to believe elegance was innate. Now I'm learning otherwise. Indeed. I smiled. Let's discuss the difference between authentic grace and performed sophistication. The lesson continued, each point carefully crafted to dismantle the very prejudices Victoria had once wielded against me. The woman who'd mocked my table settings now took careful notes on my instructions for proper diplomatic dining. After class, she lingered, clutching her Loron International leather portfolio, the same one she'd once called new money obvious when I carried it. Madame Lawrence, she began. Yes, Victoria? I never knew the depth of what you understand about social dynamics. About true refinement. You never asked. I gathered my materials. Too busy telling me what I couldn't comprehend to notice what I already did. Her next words surprised me. Your father would be proud. I turned sharply. Don't. Isabella, please. I need to explain about that day. You mean the day you called me classless while throwing out my mother's photos? Or the day you discovered father's properties were mine and tried to contest the will? She sank into a chair, designer bag sliding to the floor unnoticed. I was terrified. All my status came from being Mrs. Pierce. Without him, without the money, I was nothing. And now, I pressed. What are you with 3 failed marriages and a revoked country club membership? Someone who needs to relearn everything. She met my eyes directly for the first time, including how to apologize properly. I studied her, seeing past the expensive maintenance to something almost genuine. That's your first lesson then. Real elegance includes sincere remorse. The weeks that followed transformed both Loron International and Victoria. She threw herself into the teaching assistant role, her desperation for social redemption gradually becoming genuine interest in helping others. I watched her evolution through our advanced courses. Social grace in the digital age, modern philanthropy and influence, authentic networking in elite circles. She absorbed everything, slowly replacing artificial refinement with something more substantial. The Hamilton lawsuit. She approached me one evening after teaching a beginner's course. You could have used that information to destroy me socially. I agreed, reviewing student evaluations. Just like you could have been kind to a grieving stepdaughter 12 years ago. Why weren't you? The question hung between us. Why didn't you take revenge when you clearly had the power? I set down my papers, considering. Because true elegance isn't about power over others. It's about power over yourself. The autumn social season brought new challenges. Victoria's first major event as a L'Oréal International representative. A charity gala where she'd once reigned as queen. Remember, I adjusted her simple black dress, Lawrence uniform for staff. You're not here as a social player. You're here to demonstrate authentic grace. She nodded, nervous but determined. I understand. I watched throughout the evening as she navigated her changed status. Former friends whispered behind champagne glasses. Rivals smirked at her serving role. But Victoria maintained perfect composure, directing guests with genuine warmth, making even the kitchen staff feel valued. Excellent work, I told her afterward. You're learning. From the best. She smiled slightly. Though I believe that was always true, even when I was too blind to see it. The transformation became the talk of Chicago's elite circles. Victoria Ashworth Pierce, social butterfly turned etiquette instructor, now represented something new. The ability to embrace change with dignity. Enrollment at L'Oréal International doubled. Everyone wanted to learn from the school that could transform even the most notorious socialite into a model of modern elegance. Your waiting list is 6 months long, Claire reported. And Victoria's beginner classes are particularly requested. I smiled, remembering Victoria's words about my limited potential. How times change. The real test came during Parents' Week, when Victoria had to face her former social circle as an instructor rather than a peer. She handled it perfectly, teaching proper introduction protocols to women who'd once been her country club companions. I owe you an apology, she said later in my office. Many apologies, actually. For measuring elegance by the wrong standards. For trying to force you into a mold that didn't matter. For not seeing that true refinement comes from character, not circumstances. I poured tea properly, of course, and considered her words. Keep going. For treating grief like a social faux pas. For valuing appearance over authenticity. For, she paused, tears threatening her perfect makeup. For not being the stepmother you deserved. I handed her a properly pressed handkerchief, monogrammed with Lawrence logo. That's what real elegance sounds like, Victoria. Authentic remorse, gracefully expressed. The holiday season brought L'Oréal International's annual winter showcase. As founder, I took the stage to announce our new global initiative. Scholarships for young women from diverse backgrounds, teaching them to navigate elite spaces without losing their authenticity. True elegance, I announced to the packed auditorium, is about lifting others up, not looking down on them. It's about making space at the table, not guarding the guest list. Victoria sat in the front row, no longer playing a role, but finally embodying real refinement. After the speech, she helped serve refreshments to scholarship recipients, sharing genuine smiles with teenagers who reminded her, and me, of a younger Isabella. You've built something extraordinary, she said later, as we watched the snow fall outside my office. Not just a school, but a new definition of class. We all build something, I replied. The question is whether it raises walls or bridges. L'Oréal International continued to grow, but its greatest success wasn't measured in dollars or social influence. It was measured in moments of genuine connection, in barriers broken down, in lessons learned about what really matters. Victoria eventually earned her certification as a full instructor, specializing in authentic refinement for life changes. Her courses always included one key lesson. True elegance begins with humility. The photos of my mother returned to their proper places in my office. Not hidden away like something shameful, but displayed proudly alongside L'Oréal International's achievements. A reminder that class isn't about where you come from, but how far you're willing to grow. And sometimes, the most elegant thing you can do is help others learn from your own mistakes. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.